absolutely right. And one of the laws that I'm working on within the European Parliament is called the Energy Performance of Buildings Directive. The good news is that all new buildings in the European Union will be required to have a very high level of thermal performance. In other words, insulation, heat pumps, rooftop solar, all of this will apply to new buildings. But the real challenge that we have is to deal with the 80% of the remainder of buildings that will be with us in 30 years' time that we have to retrofit. So one of the real challenges in the legislation that I'm working on is to put a requirement on different countries to improve the thermal performance of existing buildings and to provide the money to do so. And if we do this right, we should start with the worst performing buildings and start with people on lowest incomes because they are at most risk of energy poverty. But I'm optimistic about this. I think we can provide the laws. I think the financial institutions can provide the money. And if we do it right, we'll help reach our climate targets as well. I think it requires a combination of both. I think governments are good at providing the regulation and in some cases providing the finance for retrofitting. But I think we shouldn't forget that the majority of the money will come from the private sector. It will come from the homeowners. It will come from the banks. It will come from European institutions like the European Central Bank, the European Investment Bank, and other entities like this. So I think we need to provide laws that help the flow of money from the general public and from the financial institutions. And we should ensure that when the money does flow, it flows to people who need it most, first and foremost. We've seen a scattergun approach in countries like Italy with the eco bonus, but I think we need a more forensic, or we almost need to act like a surgeon, provide the money where it's needed most. And if we do that, we will be helping those who are at most risk of energy poverty. And I think that would be money well spent. No, I don't think it is a responsible approach. And look, there are libertarians all over the world who feel that the free market will solve all our problems. But look, particularly climate change is a good example of market failure, where we have stayed away from interfering over the last 100 years. And we've seen record-breaking temperatures in Europe in the summer of 2022, and we know we need to do something. So I think the weather extremes that we're seeing are the perfect wake-up call that governments need to act at European level, at national level, at regional and local level. We don't want to micromanage the problem, but we absolutely need to provide the carrots to move things in the right direction. And if that doesn't happen, we need a few sticks to make sure that policy outcomes improve. So I really think there are many problems that society has, but particularly when it comes to climate change, we do need a strong regulatory system that helps us move in the right direction.